So who's excited to hear some pricing on the 2027 Chevy Silverados? Now, I'm predicting that we're going to see some price decreases on ZR2 and on the new Silverado trim level. And I'll explain what I mean by that here in a second. Let's jump into the video. Now, before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I put a lot of work into this and I'm really excited to show this to you guys. So this spreadsheet is pretty much breaking out the trim levels with the exception of the RST and the LTZ, simply because those trim levels aren't available for 2027. But I did include the LT for 2026 so you guys can get a price point idea. I also include the powertrains in here because why wouldn't I? And some of the powertrains were not available, so you'll see not available on some of these trim levels for the powertrain. So without further ado, let's go ahead and go through the 2026 model year pricing. Now, just so you know, this does include the destination charge or freight charge, whatever you want to call it. That way, if you're wondering about the pricing, it's already there. I don't think it's going to go up for 2027, but who knows? Work truck starts out at $48,795, and then if you get the 5.3, it's $50,785. Custom was only available with the TurboMax engine, and then Custom Trail Boss gives you 3 selections. You guys see the pricing. I'm not going to call every single number out. However, the Trail Boss gives you every option for the powertrains. I'm assuming that's going to be the same thing for 2027. So you top out at $67,435 with that 6.2 liter. Now the LT is no more, but for price sake, this is the pricing for the TurboMax down to that 3 liter Duramax. I assume they're not going to allow the 6.6 to be available because the 6.2 wasn't available with the LT. However, the LTZ was available, so who knows? Maybe they might make that an option. Now, once we get into the ZR2, you guys see the pricing. I'm predicting that the Silverado trim level, that's what they call it now, because there's no more RST, LT, and LTZ, so that's going to pretty much fill the void for those 3. I'm assuming that the Silverado trim level and the ZR2 will get a price decrease. Here's what I'm thinking. Because the Silverado is going to be like the entry-level luxury, it's probably going to be really heavy on packages. So they're probably going to have a lot of packages available, which will probably increase the price significantly. So when you think about the like Lariat trim, like there's those equipment groups, right? Same thing goes for like the Ram 1500 Laramie. You're going to have those packages that you have, and that's going to significantly increase the price. So I'm willing to bet you it's going to have a lower entry-level price for the Silverado trim level, and then from there it's just going to go up because of the packages. For the ZR2, it would not shock me if they add the 5.7 liter V8 as an option to that truck, simply because it will create a lower price point. So that's my thinking here, is the ZR2 may go down in price just simply because of that 5.7. It's going to have around 400 horsepower, I believe. So if it's going to have that much horsepower, why wouldn't they put it in the ZR2? As far as the High Country goes, I'm expecting that to get a higher price point for the most part. So you guys will see that here in a second. So let's go ahead and get to the first spreadsheet for the 2027, which would be the work truck. Now, most of you guys know that they did add the 3 liter Duramax to the 2027 model year work truck. So for 2026, wasn't available. You guys see I have pricing for all 3 engines. Now, I'm not expecting the 6.6 to be available for the work truck, so wishful thinking if you thought so. Now, for 2027 TurboMax, $49,695, 5.7, 51, 585. You can compare the numbers up top with the 2026. I'm expecting there to be a price increase simply because of the new interiors and just more technology overall. Now, the 3 liter Duramax is going to probably have a price hike for sure because it's new for 2027. And so they're probably going to capitalize on that. So I'm thinking $52,180, okay? Now, as far as the custom and custom Trail Boss goes, here's what's next. Here's all the pricing here. Now, there's only the TurboMax available for the regular custom. If you get the Trail Boss, there's 3 engine options. And I'm expecting them to do the same thing for 2027. I don't see them adding the 6.6 because then it would take away from the actual Trail Boss trim level. So right there, that 3 liter Duramax for the custom Trail Boss is $59,285. I think it's going to go up about $1,000. That seems to be a good number for that. And because the 5.7 is going to get more horsepower and torque, new engine platform, I'm expecting that to go up just slightly too, but I can't see them really pricing this truck over $60,000 because it's a lot of money for a custom Trail Boss for sure. Now, up next is the Trail Boss, and I'm expecting them to definitely increase the price a good bit on this one because it's going to be a popular trim level. It's more advanced, I would say, overall. And think about the twin panel, which would probably be an option on this trim level too. So $63,295 for that Duramax versus $62,495. And then if you're looking at that 5.7, $65,695. That seems to be a good number, I would say, overall. Once you step up to the 6.6, $68,435, and then $66,540 for that 3-liter Duramax. Now, as far as the Silverado trim goes, as I said, I'm thinking this will definitely go down in price because this is filling the void for a lot of the trim levels that we are going to lose for 2027. So I'm thinking it's going to have a starting price at $56,000, including destination, again, as I said on all these numbers. And once you step up to the 5.7, it's going to go up slightly to $58,995. And then the 6.6 will probably be around $59,840. But again, where they're going to capitalize on the Silverado trim level is the packaging. That's why I'm thinking and I'm betting Jim expects people to pick this one, obviously the most. It's going to have the highest take rate, and they're going to make their most money based off the packages. I'm willing to bet you some guys are going to figure that because you get a lot of the stuff standard now with the screens and the premium lighting, you'll probably want to get the twin panel moonroof. You might want to get the heads-up display. And now, before you look up, you're at $70,000 or $75,000, and you could have bought a base level High Country and still get things standard in that truck that may not even be available in the Silverado trim level. So be very, very careful when packaging the Silverado trim level. Now, up next is the ZR2. Again, as I said earlier, the 5.7 will probably be available in the ZR2. I'm hoping it would be because it'll only make sense for them to decrease the price of the ZR2 to make it more competitive with the Ram RHO. Obviously, they don't have a Baja truck, so the ZR2 kind of has to play two roles here. There's not a big change in terms of what you're getting. They're not doing active suspension, so I'm hoping that the addition of the 5.7 will probably change the price to like around maybe, what, $71,900? That would be a really good number. I would even say if they're ballsy enough to do it at $69,995 like Ram did their RHO when they introduced it, that would be pretty cool as well. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there. But you guys see for the 6.6, I'm pretty sure that's going to go up in price slightly. Not a lot, but it will definitely go up in price. $77,790. And then if you want the diesel, $74,995. Last but certainly not least is the High Country trim level. So I expect this to definitely see a price increase. For 2026, you could get the 5.3 liter for $69,295. I'm thinking if they continue to add that 5.7 for 2027, $69,995. The 6.6 will probably be around $72,490 compared to the $71,785 for 2026 6.2 liter. And then lastly, you have the diesel at $70,990. So I don't see any changes on the horizon for the 3-liter Duramax. It got redone back in 2022 for the LZO model, and they did a lot of updates to it. It could see more horsepower and torque, very possibly, but I don't see them doing anything different on that engine. So when you consider like the High Country, the ZR2, and the Silverado, and of course the Trail Boss trim levels, there's a lot of packages that you can get on these trucks, right? So figure $6,000 to $7,000 is what I've been seeing. Like once you start adding all the convenience packages, level 2 and this and that, is always $4,000 to $7,000. Especially like on the High Country, it'll probably be like $6,000. And then on the Silverado, I'm willing to bet you can jump that price up $10,000 to $12,000 once you start adding certain packages. So we'll have to wait and see what they do there. But as I said, at the very end, we have this. So this pretty much shows you my estimates of what I think the price increases are going to be. Obviously, the 3-liter Duramax on the work truck looks like a big number, right? I'm willing to bet you it's going to cost that much more to get that engine, just simply because, you know, it's a nice niche that they're going to fill, and it's still a really good number. I mean, figure if you can buy that truck at, what did we say it was? Let me go back to it. At $52,180, that's a really good number for that 3-liter Duramax because of the fuel economy, especially if you're a business owner and you have a fleet of these trucks. I mean, you can easily get 27, 28 miles to gallon with a truck like that. So I'm pretty sure GM's going to capitalize on that trim level. They're going to definitely capitalize on the Trail Bosses. I'm thinking that 6.6 will be a popular engine for like the ZR2. So I don't see them really going too much up in price because the competition is really heavy there. And be mindful of GMC Sierra with their AT4. I can't see them pricing themselves close to them too. But I hope this video was helpful. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I enjoy doing this, but it's a lot of work. So be sure to support the content. Turn your bell notification on. I know some of you guys love to ask questions in the comment section about certain videos I've done or videos I've done on my own truck. So if you have your bell notification on, you won't miss an upload. So just something to consider.